Welcome back to Gulf War Side Effects. Today we have a special guest. His name is Larry Tuttle. He's from the United States Army. Hello, Larry. This is Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. And yourself?
I am doing really good. So let's talk about what is going on with you as far as your time in the service and what you did and everywhere you were located at.
Okay, well, first of all, sir, I joined the service back in '88, and I went through until '92, '88 to '92. And I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, up until the Gulf War, in which case, let me see, I wrote it down. I was in the Persian Gulf from October 8 of '90 through 6/22 of '91, which is approximately 8 months and so many days. My job in the Army was a wheeled vehicle mechanic, but I was cross trained to work on tanks as well as the trucks. Tanks including the M1A1, the Bradley, and the 113, and whatever other vehicles that might come along in the process. All the trucks that the Army has, as well as the Humvees and whatever else that runs a, excuse me, that has a motor to it. When I was deployed to the Gulf, I was one of the very first few that went over there on a contact team, and my job entailed going into a ship whenever the ship's got into place to unload anything that's broken down, drag it out, and work on it. I was a mechanic. Like I said, I also worked a tow truck. My specialty was recovery specialist.
What'd y'all recover?
Anything that broke down, vehicle wise.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice long list. My driver's license was about as long as my arm.
Now, when you were over there, what locations were you at in Iraq?
Most of the time I was out in the middle of the desert, so I have no idea where in the hell I was at.
Kind of sounds like the ocean.
Yeah. But when I was near a city, it was usually the main ports, Dhahran in Saudi Arabia, Basra in Iraq, and Kuwait City. I've been all over the place over there.
Now,
Um, Pardon me?
now, when you were out there, did you happen to experience any of the burn pits, any of the oil fires, or any of that?
Not so much the oil fires, but the burn pits. I was involved in that mess because every unit had to take care of their own waste. And the way we processed the waste was dump it into one third, there was a cut off 55-gallon drum cut into thirds, and the top and the bottom we used to go to the bathroom in, basically, because they were both sealed. The middle part we just dumped that,
Right.
and end of each day we go out there with a 5-gallon can of diesel fuel or diesel fuel mixed with gasoline, if you were lucky, and burn them. Burn all your waste till it's nothing but ash.
Wow.
Yeah, it was all fun. You had to sit there with a aluminum pole. We use aluminum poles to stir your crap up with. And when the wind shifts, which the wind does, it comes right back in your face. So you get a nice little lungful of shit. Pardon my French.
I can understand that.
And it just wasn't mine, it was the entire platoon's. So that's, 14, 18 people that you get the smell.
Right. Some's worse. Hey, some people are worse than others. That's all I can say.
Well, we had some Mexicans in my unit, and man, they brought their own food until they ran out, and that stuff stunk.
Oh my
I don't
good.
know what they do because I love Mexican food, but damn.
Like when we were out there during the Gulf War, of course, we mainly saw the oil rigs on fire. Did y'all have to burn? I heard stories about people burning batteries and all kinds of stuff inside these burn pits. Did you know what else they burned inside of them?
That's the first I've heard of that. The only thing we did was human waste,
And
which was bad enough.
Right.
You
Did
know,
you?
you got urine and the other stuff that'll go along with it, plus your paper towels or whatever you use to wipe yourself, and that was it. But it's mixed in there with gasoline and diesel fuel, JP1
Yeah.
or two.
Yeah, I dealt with a lot of JP5 jet fuel. Now,
Yeah, jet fuel.
yeah. And so I think one of the biggest questions that most of the listeners that are following us want to know, what side effects did you have when you got back? What illnesses?
Oh, good gravy. Here we go with that. I'm still fighting, by the way. Right now, I'm going through. Let's see. When I first started having pains, it was my stomach. I was having problems like acid heartburn, basically, and it kept getting worse and worse. I'd eat Tums like it was candy until they finally got me on some medication provided by the VA that seems to work, but it only works for 2 or 3 years, and I have to switch to a different type of medicine to get my stomach where I won't throw up or anything, because the heartburn was so bad. Acid reflux was the word I'm trying to find.
Correct.
I also suffer from short-term memory loss. In other words, I can't remember what the hell I did last week unless I do it, constantly, the same thing over and over and over again that I remember. But if I had to tell you what I got for groceries last week, I couldn't tell you, except for Dr. Pepper, which is about the only thing I can drink. I can't drink water, coffee, tea, or anything else without it upsetting my stomach. Dr. Pepper, even though it's full of acid, it's the only thing I can drink.
That's my number one drink to go to.
Pardon me?
That's my number one drink to go to is Dr. Pepper.
Well, hey, we're both peppers.
That's right. Now, what has the VA done for you?
Oh, very little, very, very little. I also suffer from, when I was over there, I got injured. I was on sick call for like 6 months. I'm sorry, 6 weeks, because I hurt my back. I got a pinched nerve in my back. And they ain't done nothing about that. They took MRIs when I got back from there, but no one can find it. They lost my files from when I was over there.
Yeah, that seems to be the case with most of the veterans coming back. They seem to be missing stuff out of their medical records.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And what's funny is what most people don't realize, it isn't just Americans. People got to remember Belgium was out there, Russian troops were out there.
Russian, UK,
Right.
France.
I mean,
The whole 9 yards, the whole European theater was out there.
exactly. And that's also the audience I'm trying to also reach out to. I it isn't just an American problem. That's what people are not
No, no,
realizing.
no, no. I will back you up on that. Even though I did not meet any of the other countries, soldiers per se, except for the Saudi Arabians. I did meet some of them. We broke bread together and had a good old time.
Yeah. I met some Russian sailors and I stood watched. Believe it or not, when we went out to Bahrain, we were down at the end of the gate and I stood watch with Belgium and England sailors. And it was very
Cool.
interesting to talk with them because they could understand me really good, but I guess we don't speak proper English. That's the one thing I realized. They're over there looking at me like, what kind of language are you speaking? And so I was like, what? They're like, y'all don't speak proper English for being American. you know, and
We understand each other perfectly.
exactly. I tell everybody if you can speak, redneck, it's perfectly fine with me. I can understand that.
Same here.
And then you're up in Iowa area, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Correct.
But I am not from here.
Where are you from?
Midwest, St. Louis area.
St. Louis. That is awesome. I've been through there.
But I was born in Panama City, Florida. I just like to move around quite a bit.
Yeah. Sounds like you moved around quite a bit.
Well, I was a trucker for a while after I got out of the service, and I've been through all 48 lower states.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So when you got with the VA, are you still with the VA now?
Yeah, I have to go to the VA because they do supply me with my meds which is basically for my heart because I've had 6 heart attacks. I've got 6 heart stents.
Correct.
I'm also going through. How can I say? I'm recovering from cancer in the throat. Okay, I can't pronounce the type of cancer that I have, but I'm one of 14 people in the entire United States, that's civilian as well as military, that has this type of cancer.
Yeah, so it's
And
rare.
so it's extremely rare. One of 14 out of how many 100 million people are in the United States alone?
Right. Exactly. And
You know,
you
that's
know,
not including what's going on in other countries that they may have similar problems.
right.
You
And
know,
especially with the guys that have dealt with the uranium parts. And, I know a lot of people talk about, Iraqi freedom, that, and weapons of mass destruction is such a, big deal with that group. But when we were in, that's exactly what Saddam had. He had a lot of weapons of mass destruction, and a lot of it was sarin gas. And
yeah.
there was a lot of guys that I've talked to that they actually literally blew up or, detonated and threw in the burn pit piles with uranium and everything else that, I mean, think of hundreds of thousands of miles this stuff can travel.
Okay, you mentioned the burn pits a while ago.
Correct.
Most of the time, I was over there for, like I said, about 8 months, 8, 9 months. Most of that time, I was in Saudi Arabia, waiting for everything to go down, and we're burning our own personal poop, so to speak.
Right.
When we jumped the berm and got in the country, who knows what the hell we were on top of? Because it looks like sand on top, but underneath there, I don't know if they saturated that ground with uranium of some sort, some kind of waste disposal, sarin gas or nerve gas or any other type of agents that might crawl into. That we had to sleep during that 100 hours of war, and as well as burn our own stuff. Even though it was in cans, your 55 gallon can, cut into thirds. Once that's all burned, we basically dug a hole, turned it over inside it, and kept the can. Digging that hole, I have no idea what's in that ground. You have no idea. They probably don't even know.
Right. Just
So,
like
go
when we
ahead.
were out there with the ocean, Saddam dumped all them oil, millions of gallons, I should say hundreds of millions of gallons of oil alone just in a Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
As you got into Kuwait, I mean, how do you know that didn't travel up rivers or, streams or anything? I mean,
Any kind of contaminant.
right. Or the fish that was caught out of there, the stuff that we ate out there, and then also the bottled waters. That's another thing I'm finding out is that a lot of the bottled waters that were given to the troops out there, they sat in the heat for so long that even the Iraqi freedom guys were telling me that their bottles, when you picked them up, you could squish them and they would just crack. And just, it was like they were dissolving right there, but they still drank it because it was so hot. So, how much poison was led to that? And
Well, okay. I don't know what you all did for water, but again, we had the bottled water. We also had the buffaloes that came in, and water buffaloes, that is, that tanks of water that we supplied ourselves with. But it all had so much daggum chlorine in it to kill the bugs. I was wondering how many of those bugs did get through, because I felt like I ate or drunk about maybe 4 Olympic-sized pools of that damn water.
right, especially with all the chlorine,
Yeah,
and
I
you
drink
just,
so many gallons per day just to stay alive.
right, and you just hope that them guys that actually brought the water in actually purified it correctly.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I can't stand to drink water these days. 30 years after that happened. I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, yeah, me neither. I can't believe it's been 30 years neither since then. And over time, like the illnesses and everything that's going on, it just seems to be progressing. And I heard everybody run out there and say, hey, get you some probiotics and get you some, vitamins and get you this. I've tried all that, in which I'm hoping that some doctor, a nutrition doctor, will actually go and at least do some tests and figure out what exactly that they can find as far as detoxing us and trying to get rid of some of the elements that were put inside of us. And of course, the vaccines. I mean, how many anthrax shots? I don't know how many y'all got. I got 5, but I don't know how many the Army gave y'all.
I only remember one set of 2, one in each hip.
Okay. How about the neurological pills?
And the PB tablets?
Correct.
Shoot, every time I turned around and taking one of them damn things.
Right.
As well as the ones for malaria. Yeah, we took them too.
Yeah.
Army did. I don't know about Navy.
Yeah, I don't remember taking any of that, the malaria stuff out there. I just know it seemed like once a week or at least once every 4 days we were either getting injected or they were telling us to take a pill.
Yeah. And I found out later on that that stuff was all trial and error.
Right. Right. Now,
You tried and it's our error.
right. I didn't know if you heard the second podcast that I ended up doing. Well, on there I talked about, my VA experience where, compared to the back in the late 1980s, early 90s, I do think the VA has really, really done about face to help the vets as much as they can. But most listeners need to understand that are out there, and this is mainly for the young people that don't know much about the VA. The VA, most of the doctors there's only one certified doctor. The rest are nurse practitioners that are still in school.
Yeah.
And they're knowledgeable of all the upcoming stuff, but I just don't know how we go around helping each other and helping them understand exactly. Because if you tell them what war you're in, they'll tell you something and then write something completely different down. That's just the truth. When you sit there and you tell them, hey, I was in Desert Storm, they'll go, oh, and they'll start telling you.
Yeah.
Right. What experience have you had with that?
Okay. You're going to love me, I'll tell you. Since I do a lot of moving around in the country, I've been to several different VA hospitals. And some of the worst ones were in Columbia, South Carolina, St. Louis, Missouri, and I can't remember the one in Montana. They just blew me off, if you know what I mean.
Right.
The one I've got here in Iowa, they're doing me pretty good.
That's what I like to hear.
As far as, getting stuff done for me. The cancer thing. They could have blew me off and sent me someplace else, but no, they took care of it here, or not even look at me, put it that way.
Right.
Because my cancer was going on just as this pandemic was going on, and they could have very easily blew me off and said, "Yeah, you just got sore throat." Yeah, sore throats are gonna kill me.
Man, you talk about bad timing, having COVID and then finding out that you had cancer.
Yeah, all at the same damn time.
Well, kudos to them.
Like I said, I love my VA hospital up here.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think most people will generally say, compared to how it used to be, it's a whole lot better now. I just, instead of giving
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there.
right.
I had a friend of mine. He's a Vietnam veteran. He lives up here with me. We're both VFW members. He went to St. Louis. Was going to have a reunion with his unit, 101st Airborne, and he left here last Monday, came back Wednesday, but he was supposed to come back in a week's time. Reason why he came back, he forgot to take his meds. When he got down to St. Louis, they would not issue him any meds for, not even for 5 days.
That's terrible.
Which really pissed me off, and him too.
That is horrible. I heard them stories about that. I just don't understand because it's all connected into one.
Yeah, and to be, denied medication that you need to survive.
Mm-mm-mm. How's your wife doing with everything?
Oh, she's doing okay.
Good.
She helps out whenever she needs to, and outside of that, she's wonderful.
Oh, that is awesome. I know that because the last time that we talked, we also talked about that, how it was hard for you to walk.
Yeah, I have arthritis in both hips, so it's I have to use a walker, or when I go to Walmart, and I have to use one of the lifted chairs. But I can walk, maybe 100 feet before I have to sit down and take a breather.
Yeah, I didn't know if you knew this or not, but we have a goal for package up in front of Congress right now. And Congress will pass it, but we need the senators to pass it. Have you heard about this? And it's about the study of the Gulf War veterans and to do more research on us. And that bill is up July 1st. So
Next week, yeah.
I've been calling my senators and asking them to pass this bill. But for some reason they just seem to not want to pass it.
I didn't know nothing about that.
Yes, so definitely if you can get a hold of your senators, you need to tell them to pass that bill.
I will do that.
Yes, sir. I know that. Oh, I know over time and everything that I think we'll get our voices heard going through this program. I think that the harder we push the issue and the more the vets talk to each other, the more we're all going to learn different things. And that's why I wanted to create this.
Okay, Kevin, I don't know if you know this or not, but I know they've been doing studies on this for quite some time. And I've been hearing stories saying that there's not enough evidence because people are getting so much. Say there's one soldier, he's only been exposed to, say, the burn pits for X amount of hours. Well, this other soldier, he might have been exposed to it for days at a time. And their perspective is so limited as far as who's exposed to what for how long, and they just can't make a determination as far as how this person gets sicker than this other person is, because no two individuals are the same. Like your illnesses are different than mine.
Correct.
Might be less severe than mine. Mine might be less severe than yours in whatever particular part in the body that's being affected. Man, I can't talk. My mouth is getting dry.
Well, and also, I know how frustrated you've been about all this too. But as far as the burn pits go, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter if you were there around it 15, 20 minutes. If you inhaled it, you inhale chemicals.
Yeah. Well,
And
shoot, just inhaling gasoline flame or fumes, diesel fumes, even burnt or raw.
right.
That's stuff that you don't need to be in you.
Ex-
And when you're young kids, even though I was older at that time, I should have known better, but didn't. But they're not trained to say, okay, I need to put a mask on or something, keep the shit out of me.
Right, right. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, when we were there, we were, most of us were just kids. We didn't know.
Yeah. I was not a kid at that time. I was 32 years old when I joined up. I was an old man.
Well, for military age, 32 was considered old man. Yes, it was. But you still joined up. You served your country. I don't regret 1 minute of serving my country.
I wanted to do 20 years, but I couldn't pass a PT after my first four because I injured my knee as well as my back.
Yeah.
But I've injured my both heels. I got stress fractures in both heels from basic training, and I am getting compensated for that.
Oh, that's
That
good.
that and PTSD. That's the only two things I'm getting compensated for. Everything else, that's on me. I can't prove a damn thing.
Right. That's also
That
though if I mean I guess in the files where I look at on the VA, where they sit there and they literally talk about, if you go on and you research presumptive, what they consider the Gulf War vets are presumptive. That's what, if you have this, it was caused by out there. But they want you to prove that it caused it while you were out there. And I was like, then it's not presumptive.
Yeah.
I was like, you're asking, because I know whenever I went in, they were sitting there saying, well, you didn't have a digestive system problem while you were in. I was like, apparently y'all need to go back and look at my records, because I did. And so when I showed them the paperwork, they were like, oh, well, that was way far back. I didn't see that page. And I'm like, no, that just means you didn't look.
Well, see, when I was in, I didn't have no stomach issues. That developed after I got out.
Right, like most people.
Yeah.
Exactly like most people. I was just fortunate. Well, not really fortunate, but, mine happened while I was in, 3 months after I got back from Desert Storm. And then we hit it right back out there for the no-fly zone. And I was like,
Yeah.
none of us wanted to go back. We were like, man. So I really, I did enjoy my time. I learned a lot. I looked back and wondered, why in the heck did the military trust 19, 20-year-old kids with all this equipment? They were pretty brave. But I did. I really, I enjoyed my time, and this sounds like to me,
I love being in the Army.
right. Well,
Yeah, best time I had in my life.
well,
Made some good friends.
in the very first episode, I talked about the reason why I didn't want to go in the military. I didn't want to cut hair. Of course, that's what I do now for a living, so I had to eat a lot of words to my dad and be like,
Yeah,
cutting hair don't
telling me
sound so
that.
bad. Yeah. And, being back, I look, I don't know if I would be where I am today without the experience I had back then, especially my mindset.
I hear you, brother.
I know. Well, Larry, I appreciate you coming on and talking with everybody on this podcast. And we're going to have a whole lot more vets coming on here and tell their issues. And we're going to try to get the word out to everybody and educate everybody, even the young ones, because they do not teach this stuff in high school or any of that stuff. That's why one of the other reasons I'm doing this podcast, they don't teach this in school. So we're gonna educate the world.
You don't want me to go on that. No.
Well, hopefully.
We'll spend another 3 hours on that shit.
Oh, I agree. You 110%. It frustrates me so bad. It's like, all right, class, open up your books. Here we got the Goal 4. Start January into here. It's over. And it's like, wait a second, but that's not exactly what all happened. Take it back a year before then, while we were out there, while the oil rigs were on fire, while the burn pits were going, and explain from there till now. That's what gets me. But you're right. I could spend 3 hours alone how pissed off I am that high schools don't teach more about how much chemicals.
Anything.
Right.
Anything.
Exactly. Well, Larry, once again, I thank you for being on this podcast. And please, we're going to stay in contact with each other. I want to know how your cancer is going, and I'm definitely going to be praying for you, along with all the other listeners are going to be praying for you.
Well, anything I can do to help you, everybody. Only thing I can really suggest is what I do right now. If I find out anybody joining whatever military branch that they're going into, to make copies of their daggum medical files.
Yes, sir. I agree. I agree.
Their entire time they're in until they get out, make damn copies of their medical files.
And I am glad you brought that up.
I mean, I know kids that are joining up because they ain't got nothing else better to do with their life. And hey, join the military. I don't care what branch, but make the daggum copies of your files.
Yes, sir.
Because they won't give them to you.
No, you're right. You got to make them as you get out.
I mean, that's where I made my mistake.
Right.
No one told my ass.
Yes, sir.
Well, I thank you for having me on here, Kevin. I appreciate that a whole lot.
And we will stay in touch.
You keep in touch with me, and I'll try and keep in touch with you.
Yes, sir.
And I hope you have a good night.
You too. Thank you very much.